All right, so I'm done painting with my base color, and I chose magenta for that one. And today we're gonna paint with tints and shades. So we need a little bit more stuff today. So you're still gonna be working with your same partner, but this time you and your partner are gonna get the color you're using first, which for me is magenta, white, and then just a little bit of black. You're gonna hardly need any of that. You still need your paintbrush. I got a skinnier paintbrush this time because, because last time I felt like I was getting out of the lines a little bit. So I wanted to make sure, got a little bit skinnier of a brush, and a water, and a paper towel. Okay? So first things first, if you're not done painting with your base color, finish doing that first. Next, we're gonna mix a tint, okay? So a tint means a lighter color. So that means I'm gonna mix magenta and white together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some white. Notice how I left a space in between magenta and white. So I'm gonna put some white in here, maybe about half of it. Now I do wanna rinse my brush out because I don't wanna get white in my magenta. So I'm gonna rinse my brush out. And then I'm gonna use my paper towel to get water out of my brush. I'm gonna move this artwork out of the way for a second while we're mixing here. And so now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of magenta, just a little bit, and I'm gonna mix it together and see what I get. Okay. So if I want that to be a little bit darker, I would need to add more magenta. So I'm just gonna kind of be careful. I don't wanna get very much white in my magenta. So that's a pretty good tint. So once it's something that you and your partner both like, you can start painting with that. I'm going to use my smaller brush here. And kind of like last time, we're just going to focus on one space at a time. So I'm going to outline first. And if you and your partner run out of your tint, you're gonna have to mix another tint, and it might not be the exact same, but that's okay, as long as it's a tint. You just wanna make sure you finish the space you're working in, otherwise you might have to paint over it again with the new tint, if it's a different shade. Almost done with this one. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to paint with this tint. Let's just pretend. So I'm gonna also be using a shade, so I wanna decide, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I might do 5 spaces this tint, so I'm just gonna mark them off. I'm gonna do this one, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, and maybe I'll do this one. So again, I've spread them out. I'm trying to make sure that 2 of my tinted spaces are not going to be touching each other. So I'll go back and paint these. So let's pretend I'm doing that. I'm going to mix my shade next. Now once you're done with all your tints, you mix a shade. So I'm going to use my bigger brush. I'm going to rinse it out. And now I'm going to grab some magenta. For the tints, you're going to need a lot of your color and very little black. Okay? Because a little bit of black goes a long way. The reason you want to try not to get any white in here is because it's white and black make a gray, so then you're going to get like a little bit of gray in your color. So you want to avoid getting any white mixing with black. It's okay if I get magenta in the black though. So I'm going to start off with just a tiny bit, and I'm going to mix it together. And you may notice that I hardly put any black in there. And look how dark that color already is, okay? I might even need to get a little bit more magenta because I'm running, I don't have very much paint. I'll start with this though. So this is pretty dark. Okay. If I run out, I can always mix more. It might not be the exact same tint, but that's okay. Going back to my small brush here again. Now this space I was gonna color in magenta, and I decided not to, so I'm gonna use the tinted color on top of it since it'll be dark enough to cover it up. Just make sure when you're making, your shade. Just make sure when you're making your shades, it's not looking like black. You still want to be able to tell that it's a shade of your color. And how can we remember tints and shades? Remember a shade, like if you're standing in the shade, it's getting darker, right? Tint, I don't know, is kind of confusing because when you hear tinted windows on a car, you think, oh, darker, but it's the opposite. Ooh, my lights just turned out. Now I'm in the shade while I'm painting with my shade. Okay, friends, so then I will paint probably the rest of my spaces with the shade. So just keep spreading them out. Hopefully you'll get done painting today. If not, you'll have to finish your painting next week.